In this video, I'll be talking about Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty from the Greek pantheon. In Smite, Aphrodite is a mage and is the first god or goddess in the series that I'll come across that has healing as part of her abilities. Very so Aphrodite is a very support mage type. Um, Not really a support, but a mage that has a lot of utility and a lot more team focus than damage focus. But she does damage. So moving into base stats, you can see that. Sorry about that. Aphrodite is a very squishy mage. Low health here, 355, only 68 per level. Squishiness on the level of Anubis. Physical defense, only 9 to start with. 2.7 per level, not fast. Basic attack does very little damage. Actually, this is some of the lowest starting basic attack damage in the game. But what she loses with tankiness or other stuff with the base is made up for with some of her abilities, which we'll get into right now. So, passive, loving embrace. So, when Aphrodite is linked to a god through her first ability, which I'll get to, they'll gain 30% of all mana regenerated by Aphrodite. So if she's getting, let's say she gets 15 mana, the god she's linked to will get 5. That's how the passive works. Or no, 4.5, sorry. I mean 33%. 4.5 is what she'll get, is what she'll give. So I mentioned being linked to gods. That is what her first ability, Kiss, does. She will literally blows a kiss to a god. And if it hits an ally, she will be linked to them. And being linked gives a few extra effects. It will increase her movement speed and the god she's linked to's movement speed. Additionally, if she links to an allied god, Kiss goes from this cooldown to just 3 seconds. And now it has a second effect if it hits a enemy god. It will stun them. And if Aphrodite is currently linked to an allied god, the link won't go away, but she will instead give a jealousy damage increase. So you can see that right here, 4 to 20% for 5 seconds. It increases the damage that the link god will do for 5 seconds because they're jealous, obviously. So now movement speed 4 to 20%, 4 per level. Stun, jealousy, they don't scale. Cooldown 16 going down to 12 seconds. So even at max rank, the 3 second thing is 25% of our normal cooldown. Even more the less levels you have in Kiss. So very good thing to link to allied gods, but the stun it can also be very useful. So now cost 50, 70, pretty good. So now moving into her second ability, back off. Aphrodite will do a little pulse around her in a short area and knocking back and doing damage to every enemy near her within a small range. Now, this has an added effect if she is linked to a allied god. Instead of just her having an explosion around her, it will also originate around the linked god, and it'll do the same damage, and it will slow for 25%. But that slow only applies if it's from the allied god's explosion, not Aphrodite's own explosion. So damage 80 to 320, going up by about 60 per level, plus 60% of your magical power. Slow doesn't scale. Costs 70 to 90 mana. Cooldown 12 seconds. Pretty standard. Everything. Does a lot of damage. Now, keep in mind, if an enemy were to be hit by both blasts, they'll only be hit by the one that originates from Aphrodite. So that they won't get the slow, and they only get one instance of damage. For those of you thinking you could do a lot of damage, not happening. So now moving to the third ability, and what makes Aphrodite so good, lovebirds. She'll call down a flock of doves. They have travel time, so they'll go out in a line in front of her, and they'll travel. So that travel time means you're not hitting the entire area with birds, but they will go through. So if an enemy steps inside of it, they'll get hit by birds, even if they weren't there when they started. So now the doves will deal damage to enemies every half a second for 3 seconds, and Aphrodite and any god she's linked to will be healed for every half a second for 3 seconds. So now damage 15 to 55 plus 15% of their magical power. The heal 10 to 38 plus 15%. So there's a lot of healing and a lot of damage. Don't underestimate this. It does a lot. So when you think about healing 6 times, that's over 200 health. That's a lot of health, especially um, damage 55 times 6 over 300, and it's ticking. So you're getting a lot of sustained damage. Now, mana cost 70 to 90, cooldown 16 to 12, much like the kiss, the cooldown goes down. So now, her ultimate, one of the most unique ultimates in the game because of what it does. She will make herself and any god she's linked to invincible for a little bit of time. That is all this does. It makes them invulnerable to all damage, to all crowd control, to all slows, to all anything. They are immune. And if she can cast it while under CC, so if she's stunned, she can still cast this. And she will remove all CC from herself and her soulmate, the Link God, when she casts it. So now, leveling this up gives you longer duration of invulnerability. So it goes from 0.8 to 2 seconds, 0.3 seconds each time. Cooldown goes from 90 to 70 seconds. Cost 100 mana each time you use it. So now going with leveling with Aphrodite. The first ability you want, well, first of all, Aphrodite is a really good solo laner. Actually, not she's awful at supporting. She just dies, and she doesn't do well late game, and she'll just die. So solo lane is where she's really good because she does well against bruisers and other good solo gods. So she can hold her own, and the mana buff that she gets on that side of the map makes her really strong because she just won't run out of mana, which is the one thing that will kill her. So now, you take Lovebirds first. It's your wave clear. It's a heal. It's a little bit of damage, but it's really good. Now, level 2, you'd think back off's a good idea. No, you want Kiss because those solo laners, the jungler's got to be in your lane at level 2. And Kiss is also a stun. It's your only peel. And so what you really need it for is to stop the enemy solo laner from aggressing on you during the early game where you're going to be weak because you're not healing, you're not really clearing the wave yet, so you really need that peel early on. So now, level 3, you want Lovebirds, you just do it. Level 4, that's when you take a back off. Your birds will be doing a lot of damage to the wave now. A back off will now clear the archers after Lovebirds hit them, and it gives you a good clear, finally. So then, after that, level 5, this, if you are confident in your ability, if you don't think you're going to die at level 5, and you feel like either you're ahead or the enemy is not really being aggressive, you actually take Lovebirds at level 5, getting getting a third level there. Because Undying Love isn't really useful if you're not going to use it. If you know what I mean. Like, if you don't think you're going to be in a fight at level 5, there's no reason to have Undying Love. You have no kill potential with it because it doesn't do damage, and it's only there to save you. If you're not planning on being in danger, you don't want to have it because it's being useless. So instead, if you're confident that you're not going to die, you take Lovebirds, get more clear, quicker clear, more healing. You're still impossible to kill, and now you're clearing the wave. And then at level 6, that's when you take Undying Love, because you might as well take it at that point. You can't get Lovebirds any further. Back off isn't worth leveling over your ult. So now, level 7, Lovebirds. Level 8, back off. Level 9, Birds. Level 10, back off. Level 11, back off. Level 12, back off. So now you should have 5 levels in back off, 5 levels in Birds, 1 in Kiss, and 1 in Undying Love. Now, 13, 14, you take points in Undying Love, more in Vulnerability. Even if it's only 1.4 seconds, that can be a lot of time in the middle of a fight. You're going to start fighting a bit more, roaming around the map more, being in more danger generally, and you're going to probably be linked up to someone at this point. So having Undying Love be at a shorter cooldown, more invulnerability is a really good idea. Then you just start leveling Kiss because you have to and finishing Undying Love up till you hit level 20. That's when you stop leveling. That's where you should be. At that point, you'll do a lot of healing for yourself, your allies. Back off's got to be doing a ton of damage. Undying Love is there as a crutch. Kiss just got to make you faster, which is always good in Smite. Mobility is so important for this game. Alright, moving into the item build. So now, starter item, Vampire Shroud, Lost Artifact, Potions. Now, in solo lane, you actually don't want this mana potion. You want a ward, because you're getting a mana buff, which is going to be giving you 5 mana every about half second to a second, which is only 1 lower than the potion's giving you, but it lasts for 120 seconds as opposed to 25 or 30. Let me see. That doesn't tell me. Damn it. Anyway, so Lost Artifact here, MP5, gives you that sustain that you need. There is a caveat though. So if the enemy solo laner is Bakasura, and I'll get to him in a little while, you want to take Sprint 2, because Bakasura is probably going to be building an item that will slow you. His ult will slow you. And if you buy Sprint 2, which gives you immunity to slows, he can't kill you. And then you'll just win the matchup. That's the only change in the build to the start. Now, outside of that, let's just say enemy was not Bakasura, so you started Lost Artifact. So now, you go into your shoes. Now, if you feel like you are probably going to transition more to a support late game, and this is based on your playstyle, you want the Shoes of Focus for the cooldown, so your ult is just on a very short cooldown. But you can also, if you feel more comfortable early game, go into Shoes of the Magi, get that mana, get the damage, you'll be healing for a lot, and then your build will change a little bit. Then, instead of Lotus Crown, you finish the Chronos Pendant, 25% cooldown, really good item. And since you already had the Lost Artifact, it only costs 1,800 gold, so it wouldn't take too long. After that, you go into the item Winged Wand. Winged Wand will give you health, attack speed, which isn't really necessary, a little bit of movement speed, 10% cooldown, almost max you. Sorry about that. Max you out. And this way, you're also getting the passive, which, if you get hit by a slow, you will, instead of being slowed, speed up and be immune to slows for a few seconds. So it makes you really hard to slow down. Gives you a 300 health that's big, and you just have everything that you need. Now after that, this is where it starts getting more tricky. Lotus Crown is not a great item for Aphrodite because she's not applying it to the entire team at once. She's only doing it to two gods, herself and a soulmate. So it's not a great item with her. You can go Rod of Tahuti, get damage, heal for a lot. You get Rod of Asclepius, which will increase the amount of healing you do. There's a whole bunch of items at this point, and you can be a bit more flexible. But you have to remember that your core stuff is going to be the birds and the Undying Love. You're not going to be a super burst mage. You're not really doing a lot of damage. You're kind of more relying on these two abilities, and that's your bread and butter. So, alright. So now going into skins. Standard Aphrodite, get it? She has an afro. Diamond, Golden, Legendary, the Recolor, Majestrix. Alright. I guess that's it for Aphrodite.